This is attempt number 5, I think, at this video at this point. I saw this movie, like, Saturday, I think, like, the day after it came out. And I've been trying to make this review for, like, I tried, like, once a day at this point, and I kept having problems with my camera, so I had to fix it myself. And, yeah, if I sound out of breath, I just did some physical training, so, yeah, I kind of am out of breath. So, I lost my train of thought already. So, yeah, this is, like, my 5th attempt doing this review, so I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. This is Halloween Kills, the latest entry in this long-running franchise that was started back in 1978. This is, I believe, the 12th film in the series and will be the second to last, with Halloween Kills coming late next year. I am not a horror movie fan. I don't know if any of you know that, but I'm not a horror movie or slasher movie fan. This is not my genre. I don't like these kind of films. But I can acknowledge when ones are good. I like the original Halloween is really good. It's still a good film. It's not my thing, but it's still a good film. The 2018 one was a decent flick. Again, not my thing, but still a decent movie. This one, whether you're a fan of the series or not, is not good. This is bad. This is pretty bad. It's not awful. It's definitely better than some of the other films I've reviewed recently. It's definitely better than Injustice, that's for damn sure. But it was still kind of a letdown. And, again, I'm not a fan of this genre, and honestly, I'm not even a huge fan of the franchise, because virtually every film in this franchise has been terrible. And, the first one was good, the 2018 one was decent. Even, I would honestly say the Rob Zombie 2007 remake wasn't that bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't that bad. Honestly, that'd probably take 3rd place in this franchise, because I hate Halloween 2, Halloween 3 is stupid, 4, 5, 6 are all terrible, H2O, stupid-ass title, wasn't awful, but again, it's just not good. Halloween Resurrection was god-awful. The Rob Zombie Halloween 2 was terrible. So, yeah, most of these films are particularly awful, and only a few of them range into at least decent range. So, I'm going into this film at least hoping for something good. And honestly, I have major issues with this movie. The biggest one being, you know what? I'll start with the good stuff first, I guess. Again, the acting's all fine. Well, I say fine. A lot of it's really over the top, especially out of like Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, and the girl who plays Allison. They all do their job well. But every other character is over the top, but it's the right amount of over the top. It's not like William Shatner levels, but it could have used some work. This reintroduces a lot of characters that briefly showed up in the original film, like ones who were in the film for like a few minutes at most. They pop back up here as adults, and okay, that's not a bad idea, I guess, but they don't really do. They're basically just here to serve as cannon fodder, much like a lot of characters are in slasher films. There's a lot of just characters that just show up just to die. Like, there are a couple people who live in Michael Myers' house now. They have occupied the house now. Why this wasn't brought up in the last film, I don't know, but who cares? Because the franchise sure doesn't. But they're only there just to serve as, again, more cannon fodder. And they don't add anything to the story. Like, if you had one scene with them, in the scene that they died, okay, yeah, just more cannon fodder, but it would have made more sense. These characters show up like 3 or 4 times in this movie, and they add nothing. And there's also the fact that every kid who shows up in this, like every little kid under the age of like 14, is for some reason a huge dick. Like, not even just the fact that, they don't believe that Michael Myers is back and killing people. Like, okay, that's fine. The kids are a little in denial about it. They're like, okay, we're just out here having fun. There's nobody actually killing out here, but they are the biggest dicks to every single person. There are, of course, like, the bully kids that I think were in the original. They're, like, bullying this one guy who ends up growing up to be one of the main characters in this movie. Like, they were from the original, so that one doesn't really bother me. But then there's these, like, 3 kids who show up twice. One time they're messing with the people at Michael Myers' house, and again, they're just huge dicks. And then they show up again, one of them dies off screen, which, honestly, I thought was kind of funny because they were all douchebags, so I didn't really care. But then the other 2 just kind of run off and leave. And, yeah, I mentioned how, like, the recurring characters who show up are all cannon fodder. They are. They don't do anything except get killed. They try to start this, like, mob against Michael Myers. And, okay, that's fine, but why did this need to be a full movie? This is not a story worthy of an hour and 45 minutes. This should have been half of the final movie. And you know what? Technically it is. This whole they said that there would be 3 films. After Halloween 2018 came out, they said there would be 3 films. There'd be Halloween, then there'd be 2 more called Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. They should have just been one movie. Halloween Kills and Ends should have been one movie. It's the same problem that a lot of movies have where they split the movie into 2 parts. Same problem Dune had, actually. I'm going to do a second look of Dune because the movie's kind of deteriorating the more I think about it because it's getting kind of worse. Is because it's not a complete story. And it's flaunting itself like it is. Even though it was confirmed that it's part 1, it's flaunting itself as like, this is Dune. This is the next Halloween movie. Yet they're half a story. I get there's a lot of story you want to tell, but then cut some of the pointless filler. This movie you could have cut half the movie and it would have changed nothing. You could cut every character from the original Halloween who shows up in this outside of Laurie Strode and you miss nothing. This movie starts off with a 12-minute flashback of the cops picking up Michael Myers. Like, okay, yeah, in the original it was just in the 2018 one, it was just said that, oh, he was found by police. Like, really? Police were able to nab this guy now? They were just able to grab him just after he left Laurie Strode's house. What? This one they actually show it, but it did not need to be this long. And then there's another, like, 8-9 minutes of them at, like, a bar, I think, and they start referencing, oh, like, these are, like, basically they're to introduce all the characters who were in the original. Like, they're not the least bit subtle about it. Because the first scene in the trailer, the first thing you see in the trailer is Laurie, Karen, and Allison in the ambulance being driven off away from the house. And firefighters going to the house to put out the fire, of course. This doesn't happen until 20 minutes in. I checked. I watched this on Peacock at home, so I could check. So I was able to check. 20 minutes is what it took for Laurie, Allison, and Karen to show up on screen. What? We did not need this long-ass flashback. We did not need this boring-ass subplot. Like, again, the idea of bringing together a mob of the townspeople to go against Michael Myers is a great idea. I can't believe this hadn't been done before. It seems like a no-brainer when you think. But it's done so poorly that I can't take it seriously. And then there's other shit, like I said, everybody in this is killed off, essentially. Almost everybody. The ending was especially stupid. So yeah, this is a spoiler review. This movie's been out for almost a week now. If it comes out, if I get a review out early, then I will, avoid spoilers. This one, I don't even care, especially since I need to talk about this ending. This year has been particularly bad for shitty endings for movies. I am serious. I'm getting real sick of talking about how bad the endings were. And all of them can relate back. Like, probably the biggest offenders so far this year were Zack Snyder's Justice League and Trollhunter's Rise of the Titans. Because that one of them was a very poorly done dream sequence and then sequel baiting for a movie that will thankfully never get made. And then the other one, you erase 3 seasons worth of TV and an hour and 40-minute movie because you have no idea how to conclude this fucking movie. Great. This one is a bit more interesting, but it also has a ton of problems. For one, there's like a final fight where all of the people just start beating on Michael. They eventually like kind of take him down, and Karen like stabs a knife into his back, and that's what happens. But then they just kind of leave him laying there for a good like 10 minutes or so, just kind of standing around him, not bothering to like put him in a police car or something, or like try to apprehend him or tie him up or something, not even trying. And then he just gets back up and kills all of them. Fine, that's what I kind of expected. And of course, there's a sequel baiting ending for this one, which I'll get to in a second. And then, since the final conversation between Allison and Karen and Michael took place at his house, Allison like breaks her leg because Myers like pushes her down the stairs, and he kills Cameron in a very brutal way. And that was actually Cameron was one of the few characters I actually liked in this, which was kind of surprising. I thought he was just going to be another douchebag boyfriend. I don't remember what he was like in the 2018 movie, but I was expecting him to be kind of a dick in this movie, but no, he was one of the few likable characters, and his death scene actually made me feel quite bad. Unfortunately, it was done in such a gruesome way that it was borderline hysterical, but I still felt bad for him. And then that whole confrontation out in the street happens, and then Karen goes up to the top of to the second floor of the house for seemingly no reason. It's like she's drawn there or something. I don't get it. And then this is the only thing that actually made me jump, because nothing else in this movie scared me at all. The one thing that made me jump was I thought she was going to be looking out the window and seeing like Myers killing everybody like way down the street or something. That's what I thought. But then all of a sudden he just appears behind her and kills her. That actually made me jump because I wasn't expecting it, for one. But that's because it makes no sense. Did he just kill everybody else in front of the house? Is Allison dead? Was she killed off screen? Because that'd be pretty lame. They don't even show. Okay, sorry about the cut. My brain got stuck there for a second. That was weird. But you get my point. Was everyone down there just killed off screen just for the sake of a cheap jump scare? Were they? That's pathetic. And then, of course, the final shot is, like, Michael staring at the window, and then, like, Laurie looking at the window of the hospital, almost like they're looking at each other. I guess that's the intention, but it's not like it shows any wide shots of, like, you can see the house from the hospital, or not the ambulance window, the hospital window, and you can't, or rather, you can see the hospital from the house. There's never any, like, establishing shot that you can do that. It's just them looking out the window, and, like, the shots of their heads being in the, I guess, the same position. That's not how you do that kind of ending. This is such a stupid-ass ending. And I guess there's supposed to be some commentary about not going with the mob, because at some point they start chasing a guy who they think is Michael Myers. Like one guy just starts going after him, and they all just start kind of rallying behind him because they just going with him. And, okay, that's not a terrible idea, but it's like this short, pudgy guy who looks nothing like him. Myers is like 7 feet tall and built. This guy's like short. This guy's shorter than me. I'm almost 6 foot. I'm a little under 6 foot. This guy's shorter than me. He's like pudgy. He's not huge or buff or anything. So this doesn't make any sense. So that's a great way to describe this movie. It makes no sense. This is bad. I'm realizing more and more that this is happening a lot recently, where I realize, like, while I'm reviewing it, I hate it more than I actually thought I did. This is really bad. This is a really stupid movie that I couldn't enjoy, mostly because I'm not a fan of the genre as a whole, but I just couldn't get into this. 2 out of 5. This is, again, it's not 100%, it's not worthless. Like, I can understand why people can get into this movie, but I can't. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I have better movies to go watch. I'll do a second look of Dune when it actually comes out on Friday. And I got some other October movies to review, which will hopefully be better than this.